Hi guys, welcome to a session on CMAT Innovation and Entrepreneurship. Friends, from BYJU'S, we are going to conduct a series of sessions on this new topic or a new area which has been introduced by CMAT this particular year. This was not there in the last year. So what we are planning is to conduct about 5 to 6 sessions, a series of these sessions, where we slowly explain the concepts to you about innovation and entrepreneurship, what kind of questions can come, give you some kind of a practice about these, and then make sure that you have questions also which I'm going to take up a concept, explain the concept to you, and then take up questions so that you can associate the knowledge that you just gained from the concept and apply it to the question, right? So that's what we have in store for you. I'm Srinivas, and once again welcome to the session, right? Good evening Sheetal, or either it's afternoon, and good afternoon Sony. Right, so friends, let's first understand what is happening in this particular exam. What are the changes actually that have been brought forward? Okay, so that's what we're going to start with, understanding this new section. Then we are going to look at, is it different from GK? Is it the same as GK? How is it different if it is different? And then of course we're going to discuss what all we have to learn, which is basically the syllabus. And finally, we will start the questions for this session. And in every session, I'll try to give you theory, but then I realized making you sit in the afternoons and giving you theory, gyan, just like that will make you fall asleep. So I will give you a small theory and then we'll take few questions based on that. Or when a question comes up based on a theory, I will explain the theory as and when the question comes up there itself. Okay, so that's the basic plan I have. And yes, once again, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. Guys, before we go forward, if you enjoy these sessions, or if you want to be a part of these sessions going forward, please subscribe to the channel, click on the notification button, and also make sure that you like the video. Okay, so well, let's start off, friends. So this is the new section. So first thing is what is this section? It is a section testing the students' knowledge on the current scenarios of entrepreneurship and innovation. Okay, now it's easy for me to say that they want to test, but we need to understand what is it that they're going to test, and how is it different from just mugging up GK facts. Okay, so how are they going to test? What is going to be in the section? It's very clearly mentioned. What they're talking about is 20 questions will be asked, where there'll be +4 and -1 marking scheme. If it is negative, or rather you got it wrong, it's -1, and +4 marks for if you get it right. Okay. Actually, Sheetal is saying it is like doing half MBA before CMAT. Not really, Sheetal. MBA is a lot more than this. Trust me, as an MBA, done that about 10 years back, I can definitely say 10, 12 years back, I can definitely say that MBA is a lot more than what you're going. But anyway, the next thing we're going to talk about is what type of questions can be asked. Now, clearly nobody knows what type of questions can come. So we are trying to give you the possible type of questions. We will not stick, or rather I will not restrict myself to only one type of question. So we will look at awareness questions, which are basically MCQ type. All questions are going to be MCQ, of course, but these are basically straightforward. Straight answers, whether you know the answer or you don't know the answer. Then we will also look at match the following type of questions, and we will look at something called as reason assertion type of questions. So we will try to explore this topic in all the 3 formats of the questions which could be coming to you in the exam. In this particular session, I am going to look at awareness questions and reason assertion questions, and I'll explain what are these. Awareness questions, all of you know what they are. Reason assertion, you might have come across, might not have come across. We will see. That could be something slightly new. I'll not say entirely new, slightly new to some of you. Okay. Let's go ahead and start with understanding how is it different from GK. Now, if you notice, the general knowledge or general awareness section basically asks you a question with 4 options, A, B, C, D, and you have to answer one of them to be correct. It's purely based on a fact. Okay, it's purely based on a fact. So like, when did something happen? Who is the head of this particular organization? Or when did this particular event happen? And so on and so forth. Okay, but when it comes to your section of innovation and entrepreneurship, I would not say it is entirely different from GK. I will not say it is like GK. So that's the reason why I said yes and no. Now, the reason why I'm saying it is not different from GK, no means what I mean here is it different from GK? No. So I'm saying yes, it is kind of like GK, because Ultimately, they are testing the knowledge, the facts. But here, the facts are not about remembering dates or the people. Yes, sometimes, yes, they are. But it's more about concepts. So there are few concepts that you should know when it comes to your innovation and your entrepreneurship. So do you know the terminology of these terms that are used over here, the concepts that are built in this domain? So that based on those concepts, the questions can be asked. So again, if you strictly ask me, it is a fact, but then it's not like, okay, who was the first so and so, or who is the current president of, no, that's not what we are looking at. We are looking at questions based on concepts, and you'll see what I mean. And now when you're talking about this, yes, it is different from GK to a certain extent, because the questions are not always this format. I mean, at least I'm not expecting them all to be in this format, but at least there could be a change in the type of questions. That's the reason why we are looking at match the following, as well as reason and assertion kind of questions also. Now, to be very honest, if you ask me, do I know what will come in the section? Frankly, guys, I don't know. But I'm making sure that you are well prepared. At least you should not find anything surprising there. Okay? And of course, as I mentioned, these are concept-based questions. So that's the reason why I will say it is slightly different from your traditional GK type of questions. I've got one or two questions in the chat right now. Aruna says, are there chances of a case study? Aruna, case study is actually a bit, see, remember, this is basically a 3-hour exam with 100 questions. Okay, normally when you're talking about a case study, it is a bit long unless you give a 2-sentence case. Now, a case cannot be built up in just 2 sentences. It's a bit difficult that way. So normally what I expect is in an exam like this, it will not be a case study per se. They will not give you a long paragraph about a case, but yes, they can talk about 2 statements, which is where your reason and assertion comes. And they can, the questions can be based on the 2 statements that they give you. So that's a nice type of question that we're going to look at. But usually, at least I'm not expecting case and then 5 questions based on the case. I don't think that can happen. Okay, so it's not about, please remember, this is not analytical reasoning. This is not analytical reasoning. So usually case studies are analytical reasoning sections. This is not like that. Okay, so I think I answered that question of yours, Aruna. So guys, let's go ahead and take a look at what are the various topics that we need to cover over the next few sessions. So as I said, we have about 5-6 sessions planned for you. Again, I will not take too much of your time for each session. I would keep it somewhere between 40 to 45 minutes only per session, and we will try to cover as much ground as possible. So the topics are understanding the concepts of innovation management and the terminology associated with it. So you might know some terms. I will still go ahead and explain. So my assumption is the students out there listening to me, they do not have any idea about any of the terms. Some of the terms could be as basic as possible, but I will still assume that you have not heard it. Because I don't know who's listening. It could be a commerce student, it could be an engineering student, it could be an art student. So depending upon your background, some terms are obvious to you, some terms are not. So I will make sure that I start from ground up. Similarly, we are looking at something called as innovation. We will understand what is the meaning of innovation, innovation life cycle. What exactly is this life cycle in innovation? Similarly, there are things that you need to understand about 3 management ideas that come under innovation, and so on and so forth. So you have a list of these topics which could be mostly new to you. So I will take slowly one in each section and try to answer them. This being the introductory session, I have combined questions from various areas, put it together with some theory also. But next session onwards, we will take one particular topic, understand it thoroughly, and then answer questions based on the topic. So that's at least what we're going to do. Okay. Okay, I have one more question coming from Mayank Jain. Any more chances like last year before a couple of weeks of exam? What are you talking about, Mayank? I didn't understand. Chances or changes? I don't think there will be any more changes. I think you meant changes and not chances. Okay, so I don't think there will be any more changes. They have already mentioned that the format has changed for good or for bad, but I think that will be it. Sheetal Jain says seed funding, father of entrepreneurship, model innovation. Yes, we will discuss all of these terms slowly, but not in one session. Obviously, we have a series of sessions coming your way. So let's start with understanding what is innovation. Now, one of the very famous research firms called Gartner. Okay, it's one of the very famous IT research firms. They defined this innovation. It is management is a business. So innovation management is a business discipline that aims to drive a sustainable. So this is a very important word. Keep in mind. Sustainable innovation process or culture within an organization. Often these innovation management initiative utilizes a disruptive method to change or transform a business. So basically, what is innovation? Innovation is not always something great and new. In fact, when I go to the next slide, you'll understand that innovation can be happening in three ways. In fact, I'm explaining what is there in the next slide beforehand, because that is important. So if you understand what are the three types of innovations that can happen, you will understand what is the meaning of innovation. So one type of innovation is basically just increase. So you have something with you, some process. It could be a process. It could be a product, it could be a technology, anything, any of these, or there are many other possibilities also, but you already have something in place. You are just making it more efficient, Incremental means you're making it more efficient by using some logic, but the basic existence of these things is not changing. It's not that you're throwing it away completely and forming something new. Something could have taken one day earlier, you are now being able to do it in, let's say, 8 hours or 10 hours. So you are using the same process, product or the technology, but you're making it a bit more efficient, a little bit more efficient. So such kind of a thing is called as an incremental innovation. Yes, something has changed, but the kind of change is what defines this innovation here. Okay, I have got a lot of questions. Sony Valvani saying, will there be GK questions? Sony, yes, we will see some questions coming your way like that. Types of entrepreneur. Okay guys, I think you're all telling me what to talk about, which I already have planned. So if you can just sit back and relax, I will do the explanation of the terms. Anyway, so the second type of innovation is a bit more it adds a lot more value to what is already there. So in fact, let me go on to the next slide, you'll understand. First type of innovation I already explained is incremental. Okay, so what is an incremental innovation? An innovation which basically improves. So something is at this level. So let us say you have a particular product at this level. You are just taking it up slightly to a new level. Basically this increase in the level of service or the level of efficiency of a product, whatever else it is. So you are just changing it by means of applying a new small idea, but the logic is your product is more or less the same. It is the same thing as earlier. One of the best examples, in fact, I have examples coming up in the next slide, is let's say you have an iPhone. Okay, now iPhone 13 is the latest. They will come up with iPhone 14 again for sure, and people still go ahead and buy. Now, is it really significantly different from iPhone 13 to iPhone 14? Or if you go back, I don't know what is going to be in iPhone 14, but let us take an actual example, 12 to 13. Is there any great difference in terms of the fundamental nature of the phone itself? Not much. Yes, you have a better camera, you have better this, better that, faster interface probably, yes, but fundamentally it is still the same. But yeah, is 13 better than 12? Yes, you will say 13 is better than your 12 for sure. There's no doubt about it. So this is an example of incremental innovation. Whereas the second type of innovation, which is adding a lot more value to a product, is basically called as a breakthrough. So this basically could be an introduction of a new technology altogether that pushes the product or service to a greater height. So here we are not talking about a small increase, we are talking about a radical change. By using some new technology, your product could be made better, and I'll give you examples so that you understand what I mean. But again, remember, in a breakthrough, the basic service is still in place. You're not creating a new product altogether, you're not creating a new service altogether. But yeah, you are trying to, again, so these are kind of close to each other, breakthrough and incremental. Incremental is small step, breakthrough is actually a leap, let's put it that way. It's not a small step, you are jumping from point A to point B in terms of the product, but still the product remains the same. Disruptive could be something which can alter the way in which people behave. It could be an entirely new product or something, a new service which did not exist, or I am doing things in a completely different way. I'm doing things in a completely different way, or I'm letting people do things in a different way, which changes the behavior of the people. It's a drastic change in the behavior of my audience or my customers. So such kind of an innovation is called as a disruptive innovation. Okay, so let's take a look at examples for each one. But by the way, before we go on to the examples, guys, once again a reminder, please subscribe to the channel, click on the notification button, because we have a series of these sessions coming for you, as well as click on the like button of this particular video. Right, so let's take examples of incremental innovation. One example is Gillette blades. All the guys out there, initially Gillette came up with a single blade, or rather double blade, then they said 3 blades, then they said 4 blades. So they kept, in fact, I believe there is a 5-blade Gillette also. The same thing, the concept is still a blade, you still shave it, use it for shaving only, but they went from 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, they kept adding, okay, so not just blades, they make a small change saying that, okay, we put a small cushion over here, which will make your skin feel more softer or whatever. Like, so this kind of a thing is, yes, the product is slightly changing, but this is called as incremental change. You're not getting too much of a change from previous product to this. Technically there is a change, but it's not something which you can say, wow, right? The second is breakthrough, but by the way, we have other examples. So new models in cars, you still have 4 tires. It's not that the car is flying in the air. You still have a similar car. You have a Mercedes, you have a new version of Mercedes. You have, let's say, a Maruti, a new version of Maruti, a facelift of a Hyundai, but basically it's still the same car. You're not changing. You might change an engine, make it a bit more efficient, but it's not that the engine technology itself is changing completely. Okay, but if you're talking about breakthrough, look at this example. I don't know how many of you have heard of it. Dyson is very well known for household appliances, especially vacuum cleaners and things like that. They were the first company to introduce something called as bagless vacuum cleaners. Now, if you're interested in it, Google up or YouTube and see how it works. Bagless vacuum cleaners. And this is actually, no, the product is vacuum cleaner. It's not that they're giving a new product. But what is a breakthrough? They found out some way in which I don't have to use a bag to collect the garbage. So what are they doing? It's very interesting. I would not get into how they are doing and market Dyson for you, but you can go ahead. But they're extremely expensive products. There's no doubt about it. But you can YouTube and find out how it works. But that's a new technology for a existing product, right? So this is called as breakthrough. Similarly, if you look at Office 365, if you go back 10-15 years, you had to buy Office, let's say 2003 or 2005. All these you have to buy, and that product is yours. There's no upgradation of the product per se. You will say, okay, Office 2005, the next product is Office 2006, you have to buy this 2006 again. Okay, so it's like a phone, you buy it and that's yours. So this was a model, and Office changed this one-time purchase into a subscription model. Subscription for per month or per annum subscription. So the service model has changed. Again, did the product change? No, it's the same thing. Product is, incremental changes there, but essentially it's the Office product that has been sold to you, but the way they are selling has been changed. This is actually a breakthrough. It is not incremental because you're changing the way of purchase completely. Okay. Yes, Sheetal Jain is saying food delivery by drone could be called as disruptive. Yes, it depends on how the market takes out over it. Again, remember, the important part I said is sustainable. So there is no point in having an innovation which is so costly that it becomes prohibitive to use. Right, so drone technology is really disruptive. There's no doubt about it. It's something new which did not exist. So we'll get to disruptive, what is the meaning of it. But yeah, the idea that you need to keep in mind is ideally a disruptive service or any service that you're talking about should be in a position that it is sustainable. So you should be able to continue the business of it, not just make a new technology and see that nobody is using it and then dump it. Then it's not called, technically it's an innovation, but what's the point of an innovation like that? Okay, anyway, next is disruptive. Now what is disruptive? So disruptive is where you're more or less talking about an entirely new product. which the concept did not exist before. When I'm talking about a new product, I'm talking about a concept that did not exist before. For example, the concept of a smartphone. Now Netflix, I don't know how many of you are aware of the background of Netflix. Before Netflix, it was always CDs to be rented, CDs or DVDs. So people used to rent CD and DVD, but what did Netflix do? There are a lot of case studies on Netflix and YouTube, really helpful case studies if you are interested in that. But what did Netflix do for the first time? They introduced the concept of not having to go and purchase CD and DVD, or rather rent a CD and DVD. You can directly view from home, right? View from home without having a CD or a DVD being delivered to you, or you going and taking the DVD. In fact, Netflix actually started by renting CDs and DVDs only. Then they had this thought, why should I rent it to them, or why should I facilitate somebody coming and taking? Why can't I just make sure that the movie is there for them to see? Why can't I play the movie at my server, or rather store it on my server and let them get access to it? So and of course internet. And you keep going back, computers, all these new things are of course disruptive technologies. Okay, so our own institute, BYJU'S, the entire organization, so we believe in taking things online, from a formal education to an online education. So here we are talking about changing the behavior of a student. Instead of going and sitting in a class in an afternoon, traveling and wasting your time, we are talking about you getting access to information, sitting where you are, kind of like what Netflix used to do. So these are again cryptocurrencies. If you're talking about cryptos, we talk about an idea or a concept which did not exist beforehand, right? At least using currency in terms of crypto, which is not controlled by a government. So these are all called as disruptive innovations. Okay. Yes, WhatsApp is also disruptive, but again, remember WhatsApp was the first of its kind at that point in time. But if you talk about Facebook is disruptive, probably not, because before Facebook there was something called as an Orkut. I don't know how many of you know about Orkut? Anybody? I'm really interested in seeing this. Anyone can quickly reply if you've heard of this website or rather social network called Orkut. It was a rage when I was in my college in 2003s, 2002s at that point in time, but it died down very quickly, and Facebook started by the end of my college. Within 3 years, it became famous, died, and then Facebook came up anyway. So these are called as your disruptive services or products. Anyway, so this is an example. Okay, so let's take few questions for you to understand. Okay, Amresh Anand heard of it. Okay, Abhishek heard of it. Good. Digital currency, Sheetal, is not disruptive. Effectively, digital currency is like cryptocurrency. That's the meaning of it, right? It's not something new. So I will not say it is disruptive. I would say probably it could be a breakthrough. See, remember, think of it as blind rules. Incremental is basically something which is already existing. The technology is also same. Tech is also same. So product is existing. Technology is same. And you are getting some new efficiency. Something, you are making something better by improving the technology a little bit, but the same technology is being used to improve, or you are just bettering it. That's it. So that's called as an incremental. Breakthrough is where the product exists. If you want to remember this as a thumb rule, breakthrough is where the product exists. The technology could be changed to a greater or a larger extent, or you can change the technology, but the product is still the same. That is called as a breakthrough. A disruptive technology or innovation basically is something which did not exist. You invented something altogether and you are now putting it to use. Okay, so that's the basic logic. So this is the first question coming your way, my friends. Take a minute, not even a minute, 30 seconds, read it and give me your answers. What do you think is the correct answer for this? So some of you might be from the background of commerce, you should be able to answer it. Others, I will explain the concept anyway along with the question, don't worry. It's not that I'm directly throwing the question to you, I will explain the concept, what is discussed in this question, once you give me the answers. Geofiber is not disruptive, Samriddhi. Ask yourself, did a fiber network exist before Geo? Yes, it existed. So fiber optic is disruptive, But geofiber is not disruptive because they are utilizing the same existing technology. Guys, so what is the answer to this? Okay, so I got few answers. Let us see what is the correct answer. Now, which of the following is correct about equity? Now, we are talking about shareholders' equity here, or sometimes also called as investor equity. Okay, so what is the idea of this equity? First, the idea should be understood for you. Because that's something which is that's a part of an entrepreneurship. So in an equity is the amount of money that the founders or people who are starting the company have put into the company. See, a company cannot be running on its own. See, once it starts making money, yes, you will have money from the sales, you will run the company, but before it even made the sale, how can you sell something when nothing is existing? So you have to first make something. Now, how will you make something without having any money in the company? So somebody has to put some money at the beginning. So the initial money that they put in is called as equity, and you can put more money, you can take more money and put it into the business. All the money that has been put into the business by investors is called as equity. Okay, the money put in by investors into the business is called as equity, right? So now, what is this equity? How is it? So for those of you who understand a little bit about the commerce background, let's take a look at the first statement and see. Equity is ownership of assets that may have debts or other liabilities attached to them. So let's understand what it means. See, let's take a simplest example. I'm the only person who's running my business. I'm the only owner of my business. So let us say I put 1 lakh. For simplicity's sake, let's say I like what do you call pani puri, right? So let us say I put in like 20-30,000. I purchase a cart, a cart. I buy the raw materials for pani puri, the salt, pepper, and all of these things. Of course, the puris also. I keeps making and selling the items, right? So who owns? So if I ask you who owns the cart, who does the cart belong to? It belongs to the company, but I am the owner of the company. So technically, the cart actually belongs to me, and this is called as an asset. So because I am the only owner, or if not me, let's say 2-3 people came together and put in the money for the business. So they own the business. So if there is an asset that belongs to the business, it ultimately belongs to the owner of the business. So yes, equity is ownership of assets, that is true. And an asset, so let's take another example. How can an asset have a debt or other liabilities? Let me give you an example so that you understand what I mean by this. So let us say I purchased, so I am running a company, I am the only owner of my company. Again, I'll take simple examples. So let us say I buy a car. So the car is costing 12 lakhs. I put 2 lakhs. And I took a loan of 10 lakhs on the name of the company. This is a company loan. So this car belongs to me. Me meaning the company, and I own the company. Now, does this car have any liability? Liability means any loan on the car, or the company has any loans? Yes. The company has a loan. So I created an asset. If you notice, I created an asset of 12 lakhs, out of which 2 lakhs I paid up from my side, but I took a loan for 10 lakhs. So yes, I can have an asset. I have an asset with a liability to it. So technically, equity could be ownership of assets, the assets which can have a liability on them. Okay, so that's the first point. Swapnil, what CMAT class are you referring to? I didn't understand. Anyway. Second point, equity is the value of capital contributed by owners or stockholders. That's exactly what I already spoke about. I explained the meaning of equity. So clearly this is also correct. So 1 and 2 are correct. So clearly A is wrong because A is talking about only 1. Now let us see is 3 correct or not. equity is measured by subtracting liabilities from the value of the asset. Okay. Now, in accounting terms, now this is what is a little bit of different from people who does not know accounting versus people who know accounting. In accounting, assets will always be equal to shareholders' equity plus other liabilities. This is always true. This is the basic fundamental equation for accounting. Okay, so the value of all the assets, will be equal to the amount of money put in by the shareholders, which is called as the shareholders' equity, plus other liabilities. Now, if I take the example of the car, let us take the same example of the car, where the asset is 12 lakhs. Let us say there's nothing else in the company. Only one car is there in the company. So the asset value of the company is 12 lakhs. This should be equal to, what is the liability? The bank loan is a liability, which is 10 lakhs. And how much of money did I put as an equity? I put 2 lakhs. So assets should be equal to shareholders' equity plus the other liabilities that are there. So effectively, if I subtract assets and this other liabilities, what will be left out will be called as the shareholder equity. So 3 is also correct. Okay, 3 is also correct. So the correct answer is actually option C. Many of you got 1 and 2. Good job. But yeah, this is where the technicality comes in. The third point, it's a bit more technical. That's where my explanation comes into play. And you understood now, I hope, why 3 is also correct. Okay. Swapnil, so how to go for a new subject in CMAT? Which subject are you referring to, Swapnil? Let's move on to the next question. Guys, you can pause the video here. Alright, so this is not a video, sorry. You can take a look at the screen and see if you can give me the answer to this. You can take 30 seconds and give me an answer. And now, if you know antitrust laws, that's good. Otherwise, I'll explain the concept. Don't worry. Anyone? What's the answer for this? Okay, Swapnil is asking how to study for innovation. Swapnil, that's what my endeavor is over the next 5. You attend these sessions, guys, I can more or less guarantee that you will be able to get at least 12 to 14 questions of your innovation and entrepreneurship. Attend the session, look at the theory that I'm going to talk about, look at the questions that I'm going to give. I'm not saying the same questions will come, but you'll understand the concepts behind, and that should be fairly enough. Okay? Right, so what are the answers to this? Okay, I've got answers C, A, B and B. So let's see what is the correct answer. So first let's understand the meaning of this antitrust law. Now what is the meaning of this antitrust law? Why is it existing? It serves two purposes. There are two reasons why an antitrust law exists. One is to stop a business organization or a business from following unethical or unfair means. Unfair or unethical means. See, it's not about illegal. There's a difference. I can be legally following a course of action which is not ethical or which is not fair to others. It is definitely possible. Okay, so it's not about illegal means. It is unfair or unethical means. For example, let us say that, let's take an example of Jio. Okay, I'm not saying Jio is doing this, but I'm just hypothetically talking about it. So Jio came up with a very, very small pricing, a very low pricing for their fiber. They also brought in a very small pricing for their calls, phone, or rather services of mobile services. Now what happens, let us say hypothetically that a lot of people switch from other carriers, from Airtel, Vodafone, Idea, they go to Jio. And Jio becomes a majority in terms of, let's say Jio controls 70% of the subscriptions. I mean 70% of the population in India are following Jio, and because the other companies have lost their subscribers, let's say they more or less closed. I mean, it's not survival. You can't survive a company, or you can't have a company running with only few people, right? So you close down those companies. Now Jio became effectively a monopoly. Now, is it wrong? Not really. Is it illegal? No, nothing wrong. So this is fine. Everybody is happy. Now, after a few years, let's say Jio says that, look, I am the only player now. There is nobody else there. Let me jack up the prices by 300% or 8x. Because there's nobody else. Nobody else is giving the service. I'm the only person. So you want, you take it. Otherwise you don't. Now, is it legal? Yes. Legally they are right. Because the government cannot stop. It is not a life-threatening or life-threatening drug kind of a thing saying that you can't jack up the price. But it is something which we all need on a day-to-day life. So legally they are covered. They can increase the price to whatever they want. So that's not a problem. But is it fair? Definitely not. They are taking undue advantage of their position. Is it ethical? Probably not. They are again taking undue advantage of their position. So antitrust laws are brought in place so that such situations do not happen or do not occur. So unfair or unethical means a company, so to stop a company from doing this or these kind of approaches, we have something called as antitrust law. Usually the output of this is controlling monopoly. So the problem comes, see, why is democracy correct? Because I can choose whoever I want. At least correct means we are debating, and today more or less the world follows democracy. Most of the countries follow democracy. So we see or we argue that it's a better form of government, because if I don't like this person, in the next 5 years I can put another person in his place, right? But a monopoly by definition does not give me an alternative. Whether I like it or not, the person is there or this company is there, and I have to buy it from this company only. So such a situation should not arise. That is the reason why antitrust laws are put in place, and these are common practices to establish these antitrust laws in various countries. Now, with this understanding of the background, let us take a look at the question. Which of the following statements are correct about antitrust laws? The first thing is, antitrust laws are laws developed by governments to protect consumers from predatory business pricing. It's correct. Practices, it is correct. Predatory means adverse, negative, with an objective to gobble up the customers. Meaning, so in the example, a company is giving it to me at a very cheap price, thereby knocking off the competition. And then when nobody is there, I am increasing my price. Jio has not done that, by the way. Let me clarify. I just used it as an example. Okay. So that's called as, that's the reason why antitrust laws exist. So yes, one is correct. Let's take a look at the second one. Antitrust laws prevent monopoly and ensure fair competition. Yes, this is also correct. In fact, a lot of cases, the government comes in between and stops two companies or a company A to acquire company B. Let us take an example. Let us say that there is Facebook, there is Instagram, there is WhatsApp, and let's say a couple of XYZ kind of companies. All of them are into social media, right? Now, who is the owner of all of these three big ones? It is Facebook. Instagram is also basically your Facebook, and WhatsApp is also Facebook. And let's say it starts acquiring the others, smaller ones. Now, what are you talking about? You're talking about a big organization which can control your entire social media network. Is it not a monopoly? So, in fact, in many parts of Europe and US, when this new acquisitions happen by big firms, these antitrust laws are brought into place to check whether is this acquisition leading to a monopoly or not. If it is a monopoly, they will not allow the acquisition to happen. So it is not as simple as going and buying away because I have money. If they feel that this acquisition is leading to a monopoly, they might not agree for such a thing to happen at all. Okay, so yes, second is also correct by that logic. Okay, then there are differences in antitrust policies among countries. Yes, it makes sense. Now, if you understand 3, then 4 will also be correct for you. Now, please remember, what is the meaning of a monopoly? This definition keeps changing from country to country. Okay, somebody says monopoly is when 90% of the market is controlled by one company. Somebody says monopoly is when 75% of the market is controlled by a company. Or somebody says monopoly is not about market share, it could be about the pressure, or it could be about the influence a company can have. So while we all agree that it is monopoly, what is the definition of this monopoly could be different from different countries. So 3 is correct, because there are differences in antitrust policies among countries. Why is there a difference? Because if I as India believe monopoly in a particular way, I will frame laws stopping that monopoly. But otherwise, if you're talking about other countries which believe, which have other meanings for monopoly, then it means that their ideas or their policies will differ from what we do in India. So definitely 3 and 4 both have to be correct or both have to be wrong. You can't say that 1, 2, 3 is correct and 4 is wrong, because 3 and 4 are linked. Okay, so the correct answer is option D. All of them are correct. Okay, let's take 1 or 2 more questions, guys. It's already been about 40-45 minutes, as I said. I will not keep the sessions for long. So we will take slowly questions like this. I'll explain the entire concept behind the question. It's okay, you don't get the answer. Think of each question as a learning experience. Okay, don't worry whether you're getting the answer or not. In the next session, I'll try to put the theory first and then ask the question next. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, so look at this question. Pause. You can, take about 30 seconds of your time. Try to give me the answer to this. This will be probably the last question because there's a lot of discussion I'll do on this. Once again, a reminder, please like the video, subscribe to the channel and click on the notification button, guys, because we have a lot of sessions coming your way. Those of you from arts, commerce background, anybody with background of organizational behavior should be able to know this. Human resources, any subjects like this, you should be able to get the answer to this. Okay, Samriddhi, Shama, very good. So friends, the correct answer is physiological need. So let me explain this person Maslow and what he's done. So let me explain the concept. This is something that I learned almost about 12, 13 years back when my OB, that is organizational behavior professor, came and explained this to me, which now feels obvious, but there's a theory behind it. It's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So this person, Mr. Maslow, basically said that a person's behavior or a requirement, so person's requirement is different at different levels, or rather his behavior changes based on his requirements that are being met. What he basically says is, the first thing he says is, look, basic necessity of a human being, without which you can't function, is your physiological need. So he says the first thing is physiological. Now what is the meaning of this physiological need? Basically physiological means physical. So it is about your food, air, clothes, shelter. Okay, all of these are called as physiological needs. So a human being cannot think of anything else if these are not in place. I mean, you'll also understand, you can't be dirt poor and think of great things, because you'll always worry about how do I survive for the next day. Now there will always be exceptions, but we are talking about general case. Okay. Okay, Sheetal Jain has learned just 1 year back in BCA. Good, Sheetal. I learned it, as I said, 12 years back, so that's fine. Right, so food, air, clothes, shelter, so these are called as physiological needs. So Maslow explains that, look, you can't expect a person who does not have these to perform better in other aspects. So first, if you want somebody to do something, ensure that these are taken care of. Otherwise, the person will not even think of anything else. This is called as the first need. Okay. The second is called as safety. So what are these safety needs? So once you are fed, once you have good air to breathe, good air to breathe obviously means you are not in Delhi in winters, but that's jokes apart. You are having a good environment with roti, kapda, makan taken care of. The next thing comes about is, okay, then you'll start thinking about safety. Am I safe? So you're not worrying about, am I living today? You're now talking about, okay, is this a good place to stay safe? If I get a problem in my hand, do I have an insurance? You know, to go to a medical insurance, financial insurance, all of these you'll start thinking. Now, your brain can function only if these things are, if you're hungry, you'll not think of insurance, right? You're dying of hunger, you are like, you know, your ribs are showing out, you haven't eaten for 20 days or 15 days, you will not think of what will I do if I get a, if I have a fracture in my hand. You'll first think of where will I get my food, but once that is taken care of, then you'll move to the second set of needs. This is called as the safety needs, where you'll start thinking of the next step now. Okay, my basics are met. Can I survive for a longer period? So these are basically about survival needs, safety needs. So it could be talking about physical safety. So am I living in a place which is dangerous or not dangerous? Do I have medical insurance? Do I have money for that? Do I have financial insurance, or am I taken care of in these aspects? So then once this is done, you will then be moving to something higher. You will then, once these are taken care of, you will now start thinking of slightly bigger things in life. What are they? They are called as your love and belonging. So once these are basically, okay, now you're safe, you're secure, the next thing you look at, that is not the end of your life, then you will want something more. What is the thing that you will need after these things? These are basic two things that are taken care of. What do you then think of? Okay, do I have a family to be happy with? Do I have a set of friends that I can share my sorrows and happiness? See, once these things are taken care of, then only you will come to this third part. That's what Mr. Maslow had said in his theory. So love and belongingness, am I part of something or not in my life? Am I a part of a community, or am I a part of a family, or am I part of a friends group, or whatever else it is? So the fulfillment you get because of these things. Is there somebody who loves me? Could be my spouse, could be my girlfriend, could be my parents, anybody who wants me in their life, who loves me, who wants to talk to me. So these are the things that you talk about, that the third level of needs that you are going. So if you notice, you are now moving away from being like an animal to slightly differentiating yourself from an animal. The basic one is an animal need. The second one, slightly different. Even animals think about safety once the hunger is taken care of, because even the animals take risks when they are hungry. But when they are not hungry, they'll think of safety. But from here onwards, you are trying to differentiate yourself as a human being. So you're now talking about love and belongingness, which is actually in animals also you find. They want to be a part of a group. You find herds. Very few animals that I can recollect which don't move in groups. Right? While tigers or lions hunt, they too hunt in packs. Please remember that. Anyway, moving on to the next. So once this is taken care of, the next is called as the esteem needs. So this is where a company will, at least if these three are taken care of, then you can expect the employee to be performing in the company. What are these esteem needs called, talking about? These are self-respect, self-esteem, a sense of purpose. Okay, have you achieved anything in your life? A sense of achievement, and so on and so forth. So these are called as esteem needs. Okay, so once the first three things are taken care of, now this is where the company will start getting positive things. If it makes sure, so now it can make sure of the first thing, it can make sure of the second one. But technically, can a company take care of the third one? If your family has a problem, not much I can do as a company. But I need to understand that if my employee is unhappy because of various things, I can't just keep forcing him to do better work, because I should understand as a manager that as long as these three things are there or not in the right place, the person might not be at the 100%. At least I should know that. Okay, so I should try to give a little bit of leeway, especially if the guy has been good in the past, right now is going through a bad phase for whatever reason. I'll give him a leeway, tell him to get his things right, give him some time, because he's a good employee, I know that. So that is where my understanding should come. So that is how this Maslow hierarchy is useful to managers. So that's why you learn about it. Anyway, so these are called as this is the fourth set of needs called as the esteem needs, and of course the last one is interesting, which is called as self-actualization. Okay, so Maslow, when he came up with only these 5 needs. After that, he continued his research, trying to understand more about human behavior from the angle of psychology, and understood that it's not just these 5. It doesn't stop here. There is a higher set of needs also after that, which we will not get into right now. Typically, we learn about Maslow's hierarchy of needs when we talk about these are the 5 things that he came up with initially. Anyway, so what is a self-actualization? So actualization means realize. So this is talking about self-realization. So this is where you try to be optimal self of yourself. Optimal self of your version, or optimal version of yourself. Let me put this. Optimal version of yourself. What is the meaning of this? So I will then, once these 4 things are taken care of, I have I have pride. I'll not say ego. Ego is different. Ego is negative. I have pride. I'm something that I'm good at something. I have a self-esteem. I know that I like to do certain things. Now I will try to make sure. So that is where the 5th need comes, where I'll say, am I doing justice to what I'm good at? Am I putting in effort so that I become better at it? Or at least if not the best, can I become better at this? Keep doing more and more of it, so that I kind of become, not perfect is a 100% word. I never use perfect in that. Can I become a role model to somebody who wants to go in this path? So self-actualization is realizing what is so one other way of looking at it is purpose. Did you understand the purpose of your life, and are you striving to achieve this purpose? So if you think you are an athlete, you are built or you are born to become an athlete, are you doing enough effort to become an athlete? Whatever kind of athletic sport you're talking about. This is what is called as self-actualization. So these are the 5 needs that a human being talks about. Then there are other needs, 6, 7, 8 we are not discussing, which are basically, then you are going beyond this. You are talking about spiritual needs. Which is again at a different level altogether. That becomes a different discussion, so I'm not getting into that. But yeah, this is where we stop. So according to this, safety needs, what is the first level of needs? Answer is physiological needs. Okay. Well, friends, so this is where I stop. I said I'll take not more than 40 to 45 minutes. So I have stopped in about 50 minutes. In the next session, we're going to take up few more concepts. So if you notice, I'm not just giving you the question and the answer. I'm helping you understand the theory behind the question also. But in the next session onwards, we are going to talk about a theory followed by 1 or 2 questions. Here I took the question and then explained the theory, but I'll try to make sure that the theory is given first to you and then the questions are asked, so that we can quickly give the answer and then move on to the next theory. Right? So guys, I hope you enjoyed the session. So once again, make sure that you click the like button and click on the notification button, so that you get to know when is the next session of ours planned, and of course subscribe to the channel. Thank you friends, and see you in the next one.